For those of you with hypertension, either systolic or diastolic high numbers on your blood pressure, you might do well to remember a couple things. When I was first diagnosed with it, it was 1998. And here's you can see a visual of my numbers. I knew it wasn't surprising to me that I had it, even though I was a lot younger than I am now, of course. But the doctor said, you definitely have high blood pressure. You've got to start watching it. And of course, the family doctor told us, going back years, you guys are just always going to be on blood pressure medication because you are hypertensive genetically. And it is something you're always going to have to fight with. So I had no reason to doubt him. But when I first saw that, I knew what he was talking about. So he said, you're just going to have to deal with the fact that you're going to be on medication. And he even said, you can eat right, but it's probably not going to make any difference. Now this was 1998, so I was up to nearly 285 pounds at the time. I was gaining my weight. I had graduated college the year before, about middle of 97. And I was married and off on my own. And of course I started to eat and eat and eat. But this was when I first noticed I had a problem. Dad had a problem, has a problem. The only one in our family who does not is Mom, who has Addison's disease. And by the very nature of it, she can't get a high enough blood pressure because her salt and thyroid regulation is way, way off. It's just an autoimmune disorder if you know anything about Addison's disease. So, look at my numbers going back through the years. As I continued to gain weight, my numbers, of course, went up. And if you look at the numbers I have with an asterisk by them and the word spike, the highest I have ever seen it was 221 over 129. That was before I started OMAD. I was in the hospital in 2000. It was September of 2004. I went in for a kidney stone. And I got up in the middle of the night. I grabbed my side. It felt like someone stuck a knife in my kidney, my right kidney. I was in agony. And my wife at the time drove me to the doctor. And my blood pressure was 221 over 129. They thought I had kidney failure. But they checked and said it was just because you're in a lot of pain, but you do have extreme hypertension. They said, we do not want to let you out of here without some medication. And they prescribed, at the time, medication. And I forget what it was, but the one after this particular time, when I went in for the kidney stone, was Benicar. And I ended up taking it through the years, and it was always very expensive. I think it's a beta blocker. I don't remember now. But I took it, and it worked for a while. 2011, I went back in, and I had 163 over 126. Still way high. That was 2011, and I can't remember why I went to the doctor. But 2006, I went in because I thought I had a heart attack. My heart started beating. I overate, like I was prone to do, of course. And I went into the doctor, and he said, your heart is fine. You know, it's just you have really high blood pressure. We need to put you on something. And I didn't want to redo my Benicar. I forget what, I didn't do it at the time. I waited and didn't do medication for a while. So I let things get worse, and by the time I went on OMAD, June 1st, 2013, my mother checked my blood pressure with our little home unit. And it came back about where it became what was the norm as a big guy from the early 2000s to 2013, 157 over 117. That was as high as it would normally go ordinarily. Sometimes it would go down a little bit lower back into the high 90s, 98, 96 or something. So at this point, I started to track, but as you can see from these sketchy numbers, I really didn't do a very good job with tracking. I didn't list all the dates. I did it pretty haphazardly, and that's why in my regrets video, I said one of my regrets was not documenting. So you people who are doing your OMAD journey, document. Right when you do your 7-day weigh-in, document. Take your blood pressure if you are hypertensive. And again, they were our family doctors, 2 of them. Dr. Blackburn and Dr. Collins said, you guys are just always going to be on blood pressure medication. But as you can see, that's not the case. So a month later, after starting OMAD, I was already, you could say, a tad better. because I was down 25 pounds. And then September 2013, about the same, but a little better. And I slowly, there's always fluctuation, but it continued to make progress. Now here's the thing. I went into the doctor in November of 2013, and it was down 135 to 90. And I thought that was really good. Jump ahead a couple months, December of 2013, I went back in. And I why did I go back in? I can't remember now. I think I needed to get something from work for insurance or something like that. 136 over 76. So my bottom number now that I was down to I was 236 pounds there in December of 2013 at the end, very, very right next to New Year's. I think it was 2 days before New Year's. I was 236 pounds, 136 over 76, and that was, I felt like super. I felt incredible, because to see something out of the 145 or higher range and out of the bottom number out of 190 was really exciting. Out of 180s even. So here you can see some more progress of the numbers. Now, as I continued to make progress, my body continued to adapt. So now here's the latest. I did this the other day, September 9th, 2016, 128 over 76. My lowest ever has been 118 over 68. That number I achieved when I was eating mostly vegan, when I was eating nearly all plant-based. And I've got to hand it to you. Some people took my other video on being an almost vegan as an attack on veganism, which it wasn't. I've never had lower blood pressure than when I did nearly vegan, which is of course what I do now. I do very close to vegetarian. I do a little meat, but not much. So as you can see, going from March 2014 and onward, I've had low, good, maintainable, stable blood pressure, and I've enjoyed it. And of course, that's without medication. I've not been taking medication since before 2013, even though the doctor was begging me with every visit. It didn't matter what I went in for. And I was sick a lot when I was as a big guy. I'm never sick now, really. They would always say, you've got to you're going to stroke out. You've got to start watching your blood pressure. So here's the lessons here. Let's finish out on the tips. 1, eat primarily plant-based food. You've gathered that from this video, from my other video, which you should watch if you haven't watched it. I'm going to link to it, on easier hacks to manage your blood pressure with your food. But 2, understand that it takes longer to see blood pressure drop. You're just not going to, it's not like weight where you can see a steady progress. It might be high for a while. Number 3, keep a normal salt intake with lots of water and water-based foods. You don't have to worry about salt. I know people freak out and say, watch out for sodium. It's not going to make much of a difference as long as you're getting plenty of water and hopefully water-based foods. You don't want to be eating dry packaged foods if you're ready for the next level. You'll still lose weight, but you won't have, your blood pressure will take a little bit longer to respond if you're not getting water-based foods and enough water. And by the way, what is enough water? It could be for you a half gallon. It could be for me a gallon. It feels awkward getting that much water in a day at first, but when you start to get used to it, your body calls for it. And ironically, the more you drink, the less your body holds, so you actually look thinner. You look more plush. You look more kind of ripped in a way, even if you've got a ways to go in your weight loss. Number 4, use juices. There's nothing wrong with juices for your beverage. You can do a daily pomegranate or cranberry. Try to do organic in the juices because you don't want the overload of sugar. I've said that before. Number 5, use fruits. My choices: blueberries, blackberries, and strawberries. They are very good. Number 7, hibiscus tea and nettle tea. You can get them at health food stores. They're worth it. Hibiscus is the most powerful blood pressure reducing tea. Number 8, go cayenne pepper. You can put that in your V8 or whatever fruit juice drink you have, or on any dish, or you can cook with it like I do. As you've seen, I do it quite a bit. So again, you do not have to be stuck on medication. Most people can treat it with just food. There are only very few cases that have to stay on medication for their lives. But the vast majority, can knock it right out with changes, but you've got to be patient. Hope this helps.